Okay, this is part 58. If My People Bible reading. We're in the book of Exodus, and we're getting into we're starting to hit a good number in the next three books of the Torah laws. The ones that we're supposed to follow, the ones that were originally given, the ones that have happened since the Garden of Eden, where the Torah began, the Torah with the everlasting Torah, the Melchizedek Torah, the royal Torah with Abraham, the feast, the festivals, Shabbats, and hearing and obeying the royal Torah. Now, if that's the first time you ever hear it, does it say royal Torah in the Bible? No. It's for you to understand the difference between royal Torah, that which came before the man sinned below the mountain there, when Moses was up getting the written commandments, written Torah in stone that Yeshua did the first time. The second time Moses had to write it down. And then the other 8 times that Moses had to go up and down that mountain, the people were down below in revelry and doing, once again, seditious and incredible sexual deviant behavior, just like today, just like in Sodom and Gomorrah, just like it was in Noah's time, and by the way, just like it was in Genesis 1:1 to 1:2 to 1:3, where everything was created perfect and then became unperfect. And the Father had to step in and make creation and make a Garden of Eden, which did not exist in the first Earth age. It did in the second Earth age, in the 6 days. This is where the traditional Christian thought of the miracles of the 6 24-hour days, the man hours that we look out the window, we see the sun go up, we see the sun go down, and it rises in the east, it sets in the west, and the next day is another day. That's where we don't have a problem with that. It's the Christians have a serious problem with going out there and taking a spade, digging down a couple thousand feet in the earth and seeing the layers and layers and layers, and also the formation of the earth, and also looking at the stars, looking at the moon, looking at everything that has ever existed with a telescope. And just remember this, the popes, the Catholic Church, which all Christian churches came out of, were the ones that told you this stuff was nonsense. This is the stuff that they killed people over and murdered people over, and that was okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. That's why we're spending 1,000 years correcting people by us not telling them what to do, just saying, look, read the word. What does it say? Don't make up stuff in between. Just read the word like a book from beginning to end. And that's what this study does. That's what this If My People Bible does in commentary. It lays it out. And there's other books that we have used, which are other Bibles and other resources, great resources, Matthew's, even D. James Kennedy talking about the stars in the Mazzaroth. That man knew it. Sorry he passed away. I wish he lived to be an old man. So here we are in the book of Exodus. And I'm already in the 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And verse 1. The book of Exodus, Shemoth, or going out. The people of Israel are about to leave. And all the grafted in, because there were other people besides the 12 tribes that went with them. They were grafted in. And they went out too. They crossed over. They're Hebrews. They crossed over the Red Sea. These are the names of the sons of Israel who went to Egypt with Jacob or Yaakov. Keep the J out of it. Yaakov. Each with his family. Comment. The main theme to understand this book is in Exodus 20, verse 2, and 20, verse 7. Most Bibles have simplified names and use Lord and God. Yahweh makes it very clear that he is not like the thousands of lords and gods in Egypt in those days either. Egypt was full of them more than any other land in those days. So once again, our commentators stress the importance of understanding the original meanings of the Hebrew language. His name is Yahweh Elohim in Exodus 22, Lord God Almighty. But we don't use, we Adonai, Lord, Yahweh, El Shaddai. And can you use other names based upon when he's out there doing war stuff? He's El Shaddai. When he's a loving man, he's Elohim. And when he's doing rules and he's doing Melchizedek type behavior, governmental behavior, he's a Lord, he's an Elohim, but he's not God, and he's not. We'll go on. Yahweh identifies Father, and Elohim identifies Echad. The plurality of the Father and Son is one. Moses, with meekness and humility, learns this long before the kings of Egypt do. He was brought up with his family, and his family taught him good. Verse 2, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Ishkar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher. The descendants of Jacob, Yaakov, numbered 70 in all. Joseph was already in Egypt. And he, by the way, had two sons, all right, Ephraim and Manasseh. Now Joseph and all his brothers and all that generation, they died. Remember, from Abraham until the Exodus was 400 some odd years. It's now like 200 and some odd years had passed by. But the Israelites were fruitful and multiplied greatly and became exceedingly numerous, so that the land was filled with them. Then a new king who did not know about Joseph came to power in Egypt. Comment. The Pharaoh knew of their people, the government, the history. This is not the same thing. History and libraries are passing down by their fathers from one to another is how they don't forget what is the recent past. A new king implies a king from another land. Not Netherland. Another land. History records of another. Hyksos. They're peoples from other places and warriors. So it isn't specific. And why? Because it doesn't need to be. It's all about Yeshua, Moses, the Father. Stay on that track. Look, he said to his people, the Israelites have become too numerous for us. Come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or they will become even more numerous, and if war breaks out, we'll join our enemies, fight against us, and leave the country. So they put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor. They built Pithom and Ramesses as store cities for the Pharaoh. But the more they oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites and worked them ruthlessly. They made their lives bitter with hard labor and brick and mortar, with all kinds of work in the fields and all the hard labor, and the Egyptians used them ruthlessly. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, whose names were Shiphrah and Puah, when you help the Hebrew women in childbirth and observe them in the delivery stool, if it's a boy, kill it. Hey, welcome to America. Abortion. It's okay. Sure it is. Just a guess, just a wild number here. How many people do you think we've murdered since the good old Supreme Court decided it was just a wonderful thing to do? Because, back in the 20s, a couple of radical white women decided to kill all the black people, and they invented the word for abortion. They thought it was a great idea. Actually, they wanted to kill the black women, the black kids. They wanted to kill them all. Somehow history forgot that. Somewhere in the white universities, in the purple universities, in the black universities, they don't teach that. Why? Politically this. Because if the people knew the truth, black people wouldn't be voting Democrats. Because guess what? The Democrats are not Democrats. They're socialist left wing. That's who they are. And that's who they've become. They just keep leaning to the left, leaning left. And hey, you Republicans out there, In 1972, if you took a look and go back a little bit, do a little history reading besides something on your iPad, and look at the facts and the evidence that are written down, not facts and evidence getting off a fact check, which, by the way, is run by the socialists. Hello? And you look at that, you'll see that the Democratic platform of 1972 matches that of the Republican Party today. So, the Democratic Party is left-wing socialist. They're not democratic. The Republicans are not Republican. They're Democrats. There's the problem today. It's so obvious. And who are these Tea Party people, and who is these other people who are just silent, sitting at home like this? Well, I can't do anything. I can't, Trump, I don't know, and I don't know, and I don't know, and I can't leave my house because I'm scared, and I do whatever the government says, even though the government is no longer our government. Patriot Act, folks, 1999, August, I read it. Did you? 400 some odd pages of tyranny, run and managed and written by Al Gore and his group. There you go. So this is starting off with a bang. Why am I saying all this stuff? Because it matches today. Exodus is getting to the point where, guess what? We're coming down to a crash. And we're not going to be able to save ourselves. It's going to be the Father, and he's going to tell the Son, Son, go get your kids, because the place is a disaster. And I asked them to do what to do, but most of them are sheep. And they're not doing anything. They just sit there and whine. And the women act like women, and the men act like women. And tons and millions of men are sitting at home in their basement, running their businesses. Could you imagine? Could you imagine 3 years ago that this was going to happen? Oh, yeah, and here we go. And I got to go with this because it needs to be said. The Christians are still hanging on that rapture stuff. Well, the Lord's going to come get us. And he told us to prepare. He told us to get a sword. He told us to do what we had to do and defend the word. But we don't do that. No, we sit around and sit in our little pulpits and just tell stories from the internet. But it doesn't matter. You see, we're going to go, woo, we're just going to fly away. And then those that left that church because they know it was terribly wrong, all 30,000 denominations, went into Hebrew roots. I went there too, and guess what? At least a great majority of them are sitting around thinking they don't have to go through anything, and they're not going to have to suffer, and there's not going to be any terrible things happen to them. Because why? Because Yeshua's going to come get them, and he's not going to fly them away. Woo! The Christians are over here going, woo! Flying through the air, become supernatural humans, having done nothing in their lifetime other than just occasionally 50 minutes on church, being nice, and then the rest of the week treating people like crap. Are you Lutheran? Or this one in the South. Bless his heart. That's a Christian's way of saying you're a jerk. You're stupid, so we need to bless his heart. I heard that 1,000,000 times in the South. Shame on you for what you do. Shame on you men for letting the women run you down there. You're supposed to be the priest of the family. What are you doing? Playing golf all day? And now the ones that are sitting there thinking, well, we're Hebrew roots. Yeshua's going to come get us and leave everybody else behind, or take them out. He's going to take them all out, and then he's going to take us and leave us behind, and then he's going to gather us together. That's what you're hearing from these groups. Where are they getting this? Where in the world are they getting this? And then we're not going to suffer at all. Oh, no. We're all prepped and ready to go. And then we're going to walk our way, or we're going to get in boats and airplanes and fly our way to the promised land. There you go. That's what we're going to do. So both groups have got some incredible story going where they're not going to suffer at all, but the whole world else suffers. And you don't owe anything to the whole world to tell them, stand your ground and be what you're supposed to do. We're living a time of incredible weenies. See you at the next one. We'll get back to the word, I promise.